Hey guys, Gary here from Lost in the Ozarks, and today we're walking out in the woods to see if we can find some Cutleaf Toothwort. I'm going to collect the rhizomes that we're going to make, and I just walked up on some right here. That's a pretty good bunch, but they're not flowered out good yet, so I'm going to go see if I can find some more. I want to get a big bunch because I don't want to, when you're foraging, you don't want to take everything from a spot because then there's none left to reproduce, so you'll have some for next time. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to collect the rhizomes, and we're going to make a horseradish substitute, and then I'm also going to collect the leaves and flowers, because once you dig these up and you collect the rhizomes, the plant's going to die. So, to make use of the whole plant, I'm going to go ahead and keep because the leaves and flowers are edible too, I'm going to go ahead and keep those in a separate container, and then I'm going to make the forager salad out of that here in another video. Alright, so I found some nice looking toothwort here. Going to clean out the leaves and see if we can dig up the rhizomes here. I'm going to keep these leaves and flowers too because we're going to make our forager salad out of that. Now these flowers are edible as well as the leaves. There's what we're looking for. These nice rhizomes here. These things are called pepper root, and they are actually a good horseradish alternative. Just a natural alternative to horseradish. So we're going to use these to make our horseradish substitute, and then we're going to use these leaves. That's a stick. We're going to use the leaves from the plant, and we're going to make a salad with it. Now these things are pretty easy to identify because they bloom this time of year. There's not much else blooming here in early March. Or we're actually we're late March right now. There's another one, nice one. And you can see how that root or that plant comes right out of that rhizome. I don't know if you can see that, but this is a small rhizome, but that's how they actually put up these plants. Now when you're digging these rhizomes, you want to be sure you don't have to dig real deep. Matter of fact, you just want to go right under the surface. Right underneath that plant is where that rhizome will be. And like I said, the leaves and the roots are all edible, the flowers. So this whole plant is basically edible. But I want these rhizomes. So we're going to use these. And we're going to make a horseradish substitute so we don't have to buy horseradish. And like I said, when you're foraging, you want to be sure and not take everything out of a spot. You want to leave some back so that you'll have some in the future. So this will show you how these rhizomes bring these plants out. This is right under the ground. This long piece here is the rhizome. This is what we're looking for. And these are what come up off the rhizomes. So the plant actually shoots up. These are just right under the surface. So you just dig really lightly underneath the ground. And these things will come up, and most of the time the plants come off. But this is a young rhizome, which is basically the roots of the plant. So they're still attached. So we're going to clean this off and then take these and strip the leaves and flowers for the salad. One right there is a little young. Here we go. Now we're getting back into it. I saw a bunch up here on top of this hill. There we go. I think we'll stop and get some right here. Now you want to be real careful when you're moving these leaves away from these, because just the act of doing that will rip these things out, and it'll pull the plants away from around those rhizomes. It'll pull the plants completely out of the ground. They'll break off, so you want to be real gentle. Things are real tender, and you want to just come right up under it and then turn the ground over, and you should be able to see the rhizomes. And there we go. And they are just up under the ground, so you don't want to dig real deep because they are really shallow. Okay, so I've been out here about an hour, something like that, and I've gotten quite a few. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these back, since it's starting to get a little dark. It's getting late afternoon, and it's getting darker down here in the woods where it's getting harder to spot these things. So I'm going to take these back. The good thing about these roots is that you can put them in the crisper in your refrigerator overnight, and then you can go out and gather some more the next day, and you can, they'll keep for a week in there. So if you can't find enough in one day, go back and get some more. But I'm going to take these to the house, and I'm going to clean them up. And I also I'm going to put the leaves and flowers in the crisper too, and then tomorrow we're going to make forager salad. I've seen some young dandelion leaves, and I've seen some young dock, and there's also some young burdock out. So all those are edible, and all those have high levels of minerals, vitamins and minerals in them. So we're going to make that too with these leaves and flowers. So you can keep these for a couple of days in the crisper. They won't wilt too bad. So I'm going to get all this stuff packed up, head back to the house, clean these roots up, and put everything together, and then we'll head out tomorrow and see if we can't find some more. Alright, so I'm back out this morning to get some more of these rhizomes. Got started a little late yesterday, so back out this morning to get some of this. And one thing I didn't do yesterday that I knew better than not to do was use gloves, because you end up with dirt all over your hands. So I'm going to use gloves today. So you just want to go in under these plants real lightly and just turn the dirt over. And you got to sift through the dirt, because these rhizomes are about the same color as the dirt, just a little bit, not quite as brown as the dirt, but almost. So if you don't sift through it, you're going to lose a lot of these. And every once in a while you'll come across a bunch of them, like these big ones. You'll find some small ones in there. The first thing you want to do when you get your roots home is to be sure and wash them real good. So I like to use a strainer, just run water through it. That'll get a lot of the dirt off, and then you can do the fine cleaning later. And then once you get that dirt cleaned off of them, what you're going to want to do is go back and pull all these really small, fine roots off. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to get all the dirt off of them. One thing I found last year, I tried peeling them and that was a total mistake. Just get the dirt off of them good and get these little fine roots off. And they'll be fine, because what we're going to do next is we're going to put them in the blender with our ingredients and we'll go from there. So let me get these cleaned up and then we'll go on to the next step where we mix everything together. Okay, so we're back here in the kitchen and I've got my cup of Toothwort, got about 1 cup here, and I've got my apple cider vinegar. Now there's 2 ways you can do this, and we're going to do an experiment. You can ferment this or you can just pickle it with the vinegar. So we're going to do it both ways, and then we're going to do a taste test later in another video and see which one turns out, because it's going to take about 4 weeks to ferment this. So what you want to do is you want to get apple cider vinegar and you want to make sure it says with the mother, because that will allow this to ferment these roots and it will sweeten it up, is what I've heard. So we're going to do it both ways. We're going to pickle it and then we're going to do it with, we're going to ferment it and then we'll taste test it in another video. So just a second here, I'm going to put this stuff in the blender and then we'll get started blending it together. So to start with, I'm going to put my 1 cup of rhizomes into the blender. Okay, so once we get 1 cup of rhizomes in the blender, I'm going to shake up my apple cider vinegar real good. And then I'm going to pour in just enough to cover up there we go. We got just enough in there to cover up those rhizomes. And now I'm just going to pulse it and just pulverize those rhizomes. So we're just going to pulse this and pulverize these rhizomes. There we go. And now what we're going to do is put these in a couple of small jelly jars, and I see how much I have here. I thought this may fit in 1 jar, but it's probably going to take more than 1, so we'll see. But I'm going to put this in these jelly jars, and then we're going to put this in a cupboard for about 4 weeks and let it ferment before we put it in the refrigerator. Then I'm going to do the same thing, but we're just going to put it in the refrigerator and let it pickle for 4 weeks. And then at the end of those 4 weeks, we'll take them out and do that other video, and we'll compare the taste of the two and see, because most of what I read said that if you ferment it, it makes the sweeter and there's not as much of a bite. So we're going to do it both ways and we'll see which one turns out best, and then we'll let you know in a later video. What we're doing here is I'm going to take 2 of these and I'm going to label one of them as being the one that I'm going to ferment, and the other one I'm going to label as the one we're going to pickle. So basically this is an experiment where we're going to take one of them, put it in the cover for 4 weeks, and then let this ferment, and the other one we're just going to take this and put it directly into the refrigerator and then let it pickle in there. And at the end of those 4 weeks, when this one is fermented, then we'll take them out and we'll try them out on something and we'll check the taste on them. One should be, the one that's fermented should be a little sweeter, and this one should have a little bit more heat to it. So we'll see how that goes, but just want to let you know why you want to use apple cider vinegar or any kind of vinegar with the mother in it, because that will let this ferment. So I'm going to label these things, and then that's pretty much all you need to do to have a condiment that this substitutes for horseradish. So if you use horseradish in anything, you can substitute this. It's easy to find in March or April. in, you know, the woods. You can even freeze these things so that you can have them later on in the year. So if you harvest some now in the spring, you can freeze them whole and then just thaw them out and do this whenever you want. So we appreciate you taking an interest in our video. You know, be sure and follow us on Facebook, Lost in the Ozarks, and you can follow our YouTube channel. Be sure and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so that you're notified every time we put a new video out. And you'll get that video in about a month or so where we test this out. So, as always, thanks for watching.